Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Mark and Gary on a free, and today we are going to be ranking the season 5 auditions on the next step and deciding who should have actually been on the A Troupe purely based off of the auditions. Now, the season 5 auditions on a whole are quite problematic. They caused a lot of drama. Emily kicked people out purely because they weren't the type of dance she was looking for. They weren't gonna help the team win apparently because they were only hip-hop dancers. They weren't trained in ballet or whatever. So before I actually go into ranking the auditions, I am going to deep dive into that whole mindset because I've been guilty of a few things as well. So we're just gonna have a nice discussion and you can let me know your thoughts down below as well. The season 5 auditions were led by Emily and Daniel. Emily was the new studio head stepping in from Riley, who left in season 4. Well, she left in the season 4-5 off season, and Daniel was going to be her choreographer. So Daniel said in the audition how he's looking for technique, and that apparently meant no hip-hop dancers. Now, I've also been guilty of doing this. I don't remember what videos I've done it in before, but just like off comments and kind of not thinking really about what I'm saying. Like, oh, this person has really good technique. This person doesn't really have the best technique. And technique, I'm using as a word as in pointed toes, straight legs, turns, stuff like that. Stereotypical good technique, which I know now it isn't, obviously. Like I said in many of my recent videos, they have great technique in the style that they do. That's a phrase that I use a lot. So rather than saying they have good technique, specifying what that technique actually is. So they have great contemporary technique, they have great hip-hop technique, things like that, because technique is an umbrella term for just literally the technicalities of the style that you do. So I think Emily and Daniel saying we're not going to win with dancers that just do hip hop, we're looking for technique. That's not, you know, you've probably heard a lot if you're within like the dance scene, like you're a dancer or a dance teacher, like ballet is the foundation of all dance styles. I don't think, like, personal opinion, I don't think that's true, because how can it be true? I mean, I obviously believed it when I was younger because people said that that was fact to me, but how can like doing arabesques and ponches and pas de basques and pas de chars be like, obviously there are going to be elements of it in every style because different styles take and adapt different things. It's inspiration, that's how things adapt over time. Modern dance is an adaptation of ballet, so it's contemporary, but like breakdancing and ballet, you don't have to do ballet in order to do breakdancing. Anyway, I'm not a fan of what they did to Emily's character in particular. I do think Daniel, that is something he'd probably believe. No, do you know what? I don't know. Daniel, I'm not sure how he'd stand. But Emily in particular saying we're not going to win with hip-hop dancers, break dancers, or even dancers like Ozzy, when she's literally got Rochelle standing in the room with her, who was a J Trooper and auditioned in season 2 and she was amazed by, and West himself said that Rochelle had probably more chance than most of the A Troopers getting onto the team when she was just a J Trooper. And Emily's been to she's been to nationals with her team. They had a hip-hop routine in the final of nationals and internationals. They've won with hip-hop routines. It doesn't fit right. Like, I don't think it suited Emily's personality at all. I think if anything, she could have said something like, we're not going to win with people who are more recreational dancers, and she only wanted the people that are really going to take it seriously. But to be honest, everyone seemed to have a personality transplant in season 5, because I'm pretty sure Michelle in the off season before season 5 says something like contemporary's so boring and she loves hip-hop now apparently.
Ooh, West hip-hop is on point.
Yeah, but Daniel's technique, I mean, it's blowing West out of the water.
Technique is great and all, but there's no flavored technique. Hip-hop is the one by far.
Michelle's a contemporary dancer, so I just feel like all their personalities got swapped and it was just purely to fit the plot. They were like, oh, we need a reason for them to go at each other again. Maybe we should have hip-hop versus contemporary. But who's going to be on the hip-hop side when both of the leaders are contemporary dancers? Let's have Michelle suddenly hate contemporary for some reason. I don't know. So I'm going to be ranking these auditions based on what Daniel said. So he's looking for creativity, versatility, and technique.
We'll start with a freestyle solo. We're looking for creativity, versatility, but above all, technique. That's really important to us.
But Technique, as we now know, is whatever style you do, the foundations of it. So for example, in breakdance, hitting those accents and those isolations. I don't do breakdance, so I don't really know technical terms, but you know, the common elements that you see in each style, that's what Daniel's looking for, because that's your technique. So we're going to start at the bottom of my list, and we have the unnamed dancer in the red check shirt. They looked down quite a lot, and they didn't show enough range for me in order to get up the list. We then have Danielle, pretty sure that's her name. Danielle, we only saw turns in the TV version, so there's not much range there, and she wasn't in the extended version, I'm pretty sure. So overall, there's not a lot of energy there, in my opinion. Yeah, it wasn't a great audition. We then have the ex-dancer from Seed, so I don't remember their name. There wasn't much range there. They did have the confidence and the style that they were doing. They had facials, but it was just a bit boring for me. There wasn't much going on. We also didn't see a great deal of material because they were just an extra. They were just a background dancer. So they're higher than those that are beneath them, but they didn't do great. We then have the unnamed dancer in the grey t-shirt, who I think had more energy than those beneath them, but didn't show much range. So then we have the dancer in all black, and I think there was great energy there, and they also used the space very well. They got the audience's attention, which is also good. I mentioned that in last week's video, ranking season 4 auditions. But if you get the audience's attention, you're going to be memorable in their eyes, which is what you want at an audition. You want to stand out and be in their minds so that they pick you. I think they also showed potential for range, but they didn't really show me much range. So I kind of would like to see a few more set in stone movements that said, yes, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Because it was kind of just hinting at everything. So it could have given me more, but it gave me enough to get them from the bottom to where they are. I also think they had great musicality on the tilt. That's what also put them up a few places. So they showed good musicality. We then have Skylar, and Skylar's extended version is a lot better than her TV version, I think. I love the beginning of Skylar's audition until she stumbles. Because, I don't know, after that it kind of just seems a little bit like she's filling time, and she kind of knows that that's going to cost her. I just think that Skylar's definitely capable of doing more after that point. We then have Tyler. Tyler had good balletic technique and versatility with his acro, so he showed a little bit more than just the one style. He showed he was adaptable and would make a good fit on Emily's team. Does he make the team? I think he makes the team. So yeah, it was okay. It was just an average audition though. He could have given a lot more in different places. We then have Josh, who I think showed versatility and technical ability in both like balletic technique, whatever turns are classed as. I don't know if that'd be balletic or contemporary, but I'm guessing balletic because it's a fundamental thing. So he showed his turn capability, but also hip hop technique in it, that he did his flips and his isolations, and the one where he does his head and shoulders round, I'm not sure. So he did show technique. He also showed creativity and versatility, but I do think the turns that he did do were a little bit clunky. They seemed quite heavy and they weren't executed the cleanest. So I don't know whether it benefited him really or hindered him, but I guess it kind of did benefit him because ultimately Emily did choose him because she needed another boy, and he seemed like he was the most capable of fitting in with her TNS East team. Josh also had good charisma, which is why he's above everyone else. We then have Lola. Lola showed good versatility, and creativity was shown where she included Daniel in her audition, so I think that would have really helped her out in getting chosen. She also had good technique in her style, but it wasn't always executed the cleanest, I don't think. Like, does she do a leg hold and then she goes backwards in it? It just felt like it was a little bit average energy. I would have wanted it to be a bit more a bigger movement, and when she does the leap in the aerial, I feel like her legs could have been a little bit straighter on those, and overall I just would like to see more energy from Lola, but I do like the beginning where she does the hip movement, so that was cool. We then have Piper, and Piper had creativity in her turn variation. I love it. That's a standout moment for me of the auditions, where she turns and then she slams her hands on the ground. Yes, it fits in the music perfectly. She also showed her technique well, and she transitioned very well. I do think she could have showed a bit more versatility though, because to be honest, 90% of it was just turn variations, which gets marks for creativity but not much for her versatility or range. Daniel did say though that technique in his books is valued more than anything else, which is why Piper is higher than those beneath her and higher than you might expect, because the turns she did were very well executed. And she also had a good face and great expressions. You could tell she was in it to win it, and she really wanted to do Emily, like impress Emily, particularly because Emily knew her as James's little sister, and they'd had that altercation in season 4, like her being kicked off the dance because of her. So I think Piper really did want to prove herself, and she showed it. We then have Michelle, who I think had great energy and versatility. She used the space really well. She didn't let that energy drop. She did hit a lot of the things that Daniel and Emily were looking for. Above Michelle, we then have Rochelle, who I think showed a great range in her level.
She gave everything 100%, but this trick was repeated twice, and I think Rochelle in particular is capable of having enough in her repertoire to not have to repeat things. I generally also would have liked a little bit more charisma from her, but she definitely had creativity, and I'm glad she put a few leaps in and had expressive moments like these to show she's not just all tricks.
In 5th place, we then have Henry. Henry was a lot of flash and energy. I think he had great musicality and creativity as well. So he hit all those things that Daniel was looking for.
Henry showed he had something special, used his face, and had great breakdance hip-hop technique, as well as aqua even because he tumbled, so he showed versatility, and the freeze was also creative, so Henry did really well.
I do really think it would have been a cool storyline though, and I know it fit Amy's plot with getting moved to TNS West and everything, but if Henry had said, I did show you good technique, it's hip-hop technique, you didn't specify what technique you were actually looking for, and then Daniel would probably be stammering like, yeah, you knew what I meant anyway, and Emily's like, oh yeah, whatever. I just think that would have been a really cool sassy moment, and I would like to see Henry stand up for himself with that, because I think Henry really would, but I'm glad that Amy did, honestly. So yeah, I just think that would have been nice for Henry, because he did do a stellar audition, and he outdanced a lot of people who were what Daniel and Emily were looking for as the perfect dancer. So we have Jackie, who showed a great range in her audition, and she showed good facials as well. I think Jackie's very good at performing. She showed technique, she showed creativity as well with the musicality that she had.
She also showed her versatility with different elements of styles and varied all the movements that she did. She ranged in level and dynamics while maintaining her confidence and energy. I just think that at times it got a little bit chaotic and lost its structure. But her involvement in Noah's audition showed that she can obviously improvise well and that she's adaptable and capable of being thrown into anything.
We have Amy. Amy had great transitions, technique and energy. She had a lot of creativity with the tricks that we hadn't really seen from her before.
And I've put Amy above Rochelle because I think she did everything that she did, like this back bend kickover, while showing a bigger range and without repeating herself. So for example, Amy tumbled and Rochelle didn't. I also love the eye contact on this bit of the knee slide, and she also ended hers with a more hip-hop commercial vibe, showing versatility.
Then 2nd place is probably going to surprise you, but I have Zara. Zara had a great audition for A Troupe in season 5. I think she had great energy, facials, technique. She showed a great range in what she can do as well. She hinted that she's not just a contemporary dancer or a jazz dancer. I think that's what she's labelled as. Yeah, she showed that she wasn't just one type of dancer. She had great ability in everything. She seemed very confident also. She used the space excellently. Like, yeah, I think it's such an underrated audition from Zara. I would, like, thinking like off the bat who did the best audition, I probably wouldn't say Zara whatsoever, but if you all go back and watch Zara solo, like, I'll probably inserted clips on top, but yeah, it was really, really good. And 1st place, that means that Noah is our winner of the season 5 auditions. So Noah really did show his technical ability excellently, as well as his ability to do different styles. So he had a lot of sharp movements in there. I think he repeats the move in different solos throughout season 5, but he shows he can do hard-hitting like hip-hop variations of styles, and also he has great musicality. He also showed that he was a leader, so he wasn't just a dancer, he wasn't just doing moves in the space, he showed his personality, so implementing Jackie into his routine but still making it his audition and showing the moves that he could do. I think that was really cool, and also it was creative, which is what Daniel obviously said that he was looking for, so he hit all of the guidelines that made the perfect dancer in Daniel and Emily's eyes. And also his flips showed versatility, because flips aren't typically like balletic technique or contemporary technique. So yeah, Noah just had everything that I think they'd be looking for.
So my final A Troupe for season 5, or at least who I think should have made it onto Emily's A Troupe, would be Skylar, Tyler, Josh, Lola, Piper, Michelle, Rochelle, Henry, Jackie, Amy, Zara and Noah. Emily and Daniel probably wouldn't want Henry on the team, but to be honest, he achieved the brief, so he's just as worthy as anybody else.
So let me know what you think of this A Troupe. I mean, everyone that was a main character made it, so the plot wouldn't really have to change, apart from like LaTroy and Ozzy, who were kicked off, so they'd be swapped with some people, whatever. So yeah, not too far from the truth, really, in terms of what happened. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and make sure you subscribe, because I try and upload weekly. I'll see you soon, guys.